Hi, I'm Laura the Library Lady, and welcome to this episode. Today I will be featuring a nonfiction book. It is entitled See Here, Playing with Light and Sound by Milan Tytla. I recommend this book for children ages 8 to 13. Of course, if your child is slightly above grade level, they can read this, or slightly behind. I'm going to jump right in and read a passage of the book. This chapter is entitled Body Talk. Have you ever made any sounds lately? In fact, we humans make a great deal of sound and noise with our bodies. We speak to pass on information and sing and play instruments mainly for pleasure. We construct machines and vehicles that make the most deafening sounds. And sometimes, just for the fun of it, we just make a racket. These activities have a purpose and are mainly under our control. But our bodies also produce other sounds that we have much less control over. Let's see. And then it has sneezes and coughs as a subtitle for this chapter. Europeans in the 1600s believed that sneezes cleared the mind. Therefore, someone who sneezed a lot was thought to be truly important and intelligent. Scientists now know that a sneeze is the body's attempt to clear particles and other junk like dust, pollen, and boogers from the nose. A sneeze is serious stuff. Its spray can travel at 200 kilometers an hour. That's hurricane force. Soon after that, the droplets evaporate, leaving the germs to float in the air. English speakers agree that a sneeze sounds like shoo. The part occurs while inhaling, and the part expresses the violent exhalation. People who speak other languages have different expressions for the sound of a sneeze, and then they list different languages. Now let's talk about a cough. A cough is very similar to a sneeze, except now the irritation is in the throat or the lungs. The rough sound comes from the air rapidly blasting past your vocal cords. Notice that you do not cough out of your nose. It's as if Mother Nature said, send that junk out the mouth, so the particles won't start a sneezing fit. The force of the cough can be so strong that your eyeballs jiggle in your sockets and affect your vision. Can you imagine that? I know if you cough or sneeze really hard, it really hurts. Okay, this is just sneezes and cough. It goes on, it has hiccups and burps, yawns, snores, and other things that are not so delightful to hear or smell. So this is a great way to talk to your child about hygiene as well. I know during flu season this is essential. So if you're coughing, cover your mouth. If you're sneezing, cover your mouth. Some people cover with your hands, but then your hands have those germs. Some people cough or sneeze in their sleeve. Well, I'm old school, and I'm also a lady, so I carry a purse. I always have tissue in my purse. So if I sneeze, I can get to my purse. I will sneeze into a tissue. And if I know I'm not feeling well, and I know I'm kind of coughing and sneezing, and I have to be at work, I will carry tissue in my pocket. And I will, in my office, I have this huge thing, sanitizer. It's so big that I'm always using it, and so is everyone else. But that's fine, because that's keeping people healthier. It's decreasing the spread of germs. My father carries a handkerchief. My mother washes them, I iron them and everything. So he's old school, and if he has to sneeze or something, he'll grab that handkerchief, achoo, or cough into it. And when you do something like that, it's not only taking care of yourself, as you can share with your child, but it's protecting those around you. And those simple steps makes life better for you and someone else. Now it says here about cough, see page 90. So this is something, it's referencing another part of the book, which is very important. So this is what this looks like. And when I go to page 90, so that's giving a child a written direction. It says, guess what? Have you ever coughed and seen your TV's picture disrupted? So they're talking how coughing affects your eyesight. So it's and you see some text features. You see, and guess what? It's all through the book. They also have experiments in the book, and they try to relate it to everyday life. So also, this book has a glossary, which is very important for a nonfiction book. I also like an index. It does have illustrations. Everything's in black and white though. On the back, it has more information. And this is a paperback book. If I were to get it for a library, I would get a hardback because hardback are much more durable. So this is a wonderful book. I suggest that you get it from Barnes & Noble. I suggest you get it from Amazon.com or your favorite bookstore in person or online. But you know what I'm going to recommend. That's right, that you check it out at your local library. I will say something else. If you do purchase this book, which would be a good investment, one of the things that you can do with your child as you read it together is that you can highlight it, you can write notes in it, and things like that. That's something I didn't learn to do until I was in college when I started buying my own textbooks, which can be pricey. And so I would highlight passages and things like that, but highlighting them wasn't enough. You had to go back, and I learned to rewrite my notes or rewrite passages in books just to make sure I totally comprehended the content, because sometimes content is very complex or is totally unfamiliar. And sometimes our children go off to college and they're exposed to something where they have no background. So there's a very steep learning curve, and it can be extremely intimidating. But if your child has not had exposure to that particular topic for whatever reason, they need to make sure they know what to do. A good example is the Bible. I read the Bible and I read it over and over again, but I read different versions of it. Well, I was reading it today, and there was some passages I had to just stop and underline. And then I sat and wrote in my journal, because do I really understand what this means? Do I really understand? How can I apply this to my life? How can this change my behavior? How can this make me a stronger or a better person? When your child is in K-12 or in higher ed, or if you yourself as a parent or a young person or whoever is watching this video decides to go back or learn something new, we have to find ways that we can comprehend and make sense of things, whether we're watching it on TV, a documentary, or reading a nonfiction book. And even if when we come across things in fiction, are we sure, does that settle well with us? Does that make sense? And if you're dealing with some genres, if it's fantasy, that's one thing. But even fantasy can impact you in a way that may not be positive. So sometimes sitting down, talking it out with someone you trust, underlining it, thinking about it, rewriting it. Some people use the term meditation, praying about it. All those different things help us comprehend. And that's what's so wonderful about reading, is that when parents and children do it together, you create an open dialogue of discussion, and you can get much more intimate, not just about the content, but with each other, that you really know your child and your child really knows you. Not saying that if you don't read, you won't know your child. I'm not saying that, but there's something special about sharing something with your child. I love reading. I'm a librarian, so that's what I'm going to advocate. But you have other ways that you can connect with your child. I'm doing this video series because I want people to know that reading is so essential for school success. And if your child is reading at least at grade level, their potential for academic success is wonderful. And we want our kids to be successful in school. So this is one way it can be done, by buying this book or checking it out at your local library. And remember, nonfiction is the real thing, and it can just produce all kind of wonderful experience and information for you and your child. Enjoy!